Okay, everybody, our next lesson is going to still be on Intro to Expressions. Last time we looked at evaluating expressions where we just plugged in the number that they give us for the variable. Today we're going to look at how to write an expression, and once we can write an expression, then we can also evaluate it. So a couple of things, first of all, that we are going to need to get down. These vocab words, defining a variable and coefficient. So go ahead right now, pause the video, get these definitions down. Okay, so defining a variable, okay, that is where we're going to choose a variable. And remember, a variable, we said, is a letter. And that's what we're going to use for all of our variables, will be a letter. And a lot of times we like to choose a letter that has to do with whatever we're trying to find. So you could use X, and X could be your variable every single time. Or if it's miles, you could choose M. If it's hours, you could choose H. So you can always choose a variable that matches what you're trying to find, if that makes a little more sense to you. But we're going to use that, and we're going to say this is the letter, and this is what it represents. And so we would say X, and that represents minutes. Or H, and that represents hours. So that is what defining a variable looks like. We're actually going to have to write that down and say this is the letter we're using, this is what it represents. And then coefficient. Coefficient is the number in front of a variable, or the number that's being multiplied by that variable. And so if we had something like 3x, 3 is the coefficient. So you're going to see things about coefficients. That is the number that is stuck together with the variable. It is the number that you're multiplying by the variable. Whatever variable it is, the number in front of it, that's the coefficient. Okay, so those are our vocab words. So when writing expressions, one thing that is extremely, extremely important to remember is that expressions do not have an equal sign. So we are not going to be saying x equals this. We're not going to have an equal sign at all whenever we're doing these expressions. That is an equation. We're going to look at that a little bit later this year. But an expression does not have an equal sign. Also remember that in order to have an expression, you must have an operation. So we've got to have addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division for all of these expressions that we're writing. Okay, so we're going to follow these 3 steps, and it's pretty much going to be the same 3 steps every single time. Step 1, define the variable. Tell me what the variable is, what letter is it, and what does it represent. Number 2, we're going to attach the coefficient with our variable. So what number goes with hours? What number goes with minutes? That's going to be what the coefficient is. And then step 3, we might have to add something else to that. So 2x plus 3 or 7x minus 10. So that's going to be our last step. So those 3 steps we're going to follow when writing these expressions. Okay, so let's look at our first example. Okay, so Marissa wants to buy a DVD player that costs $150. She already saved $25, and she plans to save additional $10 each week. So write an expression that represents the total amount of money she saved after any number of weeks. So we know how much money she's saving every week. We know how much money she saved already. Think about what we've got to make the variable. What do we not know? Or what could we plug numbers in for to see what we're going to get as our answer? It's going to be weeks, okay? And so you could say x equals weeks, or let's do w. So w is going to be weeks. Because any number of weeks, that means weeks could be any number. Which means we could plug in another number for W and see what we're going to get. So W is weeks. We don't know what that is. So what number in this problem goes with each week? Well, $10 each week. So that means we're going to have 10W. Is there anything else in there that she is saving as far as the money? So she's saving $10 every week, but she's also already saved $25. And so think about, if she's already saved 25, should we do 10W plus 25 or 10W minus 25? Well, it's going to be plus 25 because it's going to be added with how much she saved already. So that would be our expression. 10W, W is weeks, 10W plus 25 because she's already saved that. So notice, you don't even need the 150. You don't need that part of this. You just need the 10 for each week and $25. So let's look at another one together. A website charges 99 cents to download a game and a $12.49 membership fee. So write an expression that gives the total cost in dollars to download G games. So they've already defined the variable for us. G is going to represent games. Go ahead and write that down because I want us to get into the habit of doing that, defining the variable. So what number goes with G? What number goes with games? Well, $12.49 is the membership fee, 99 cents to download a game. And so it's going to be 0.99 G. And then if you've got to pay a membership fee, think about it, you only have to pay that once whenever you become a member. But that's going to be added to the total cost, right? Pay a membership fee plus however much you get for games. So it's going to be 0.99 G plus $12.49. So that would be our expression for this one. 0.99 G plus 12.49. Okay, so your 3 steps. Number 1, define the variable. Tell me what the variable is and what does it represent. Number 2, put the number that goes with the variable. So attach that. We said 99 cents went with games, so that's why it looks like this. Step 3, we're going to add or subtract anything else to that expression. So what I want you all to do for this next one is pause the video, and I want you to answer both of those questions on your own. Write the expression and then answer that second one. Okay, so our first our question is, Leah read 20 pages of a book. She plans to read 5 pages each day from now on. Write an expression to represent the total number of pages she's read after D number of days. So define the variable first. D represents days. What number goes with every day? Well, 5 pages each day. So 5D. And then she's already read 20 pages, so that's going to be added to the total number. So 5D plus 20, that should have been your expression. And then, will Leah have read more than 60 pages in 7 days? Well, which one are we going to plug in? 60 for pages or 7 for days? Well, think about what our variable is. Our variable is D, and that represents days. And so we need to plug in 7 for D. So it's going to be 5 times 7 plus 20. Well, 5 times 7 is 35, and 35 plus 20 is 55. So in 7 days, she's read 55 pages, which means she will not have read more than 60 pages in 7 days. So that last answer is going to be no. Okay, hopefully you kind of see, those 3 steps. 1, define your variable, put the coefficient with days, 5 each day, and then add the extra 20 because she's already read it. And then if we need to plug in a number, we can. So the last question I want you all to do on your own as well is the expression that you wrote down in example 2. And I believe it was 0.99G plus 12.49. Okay, to find the cost of downloading 6 games. So pause the video real quick and you all go ahead and figure out what is going to be the cost of downloading 6 games. Okay, so we're going to plug in 6 for G, so 0.99 times 6, and then plus 12.49. Okay, so 0.99 times 6, you should have got 5.94 plus 12.49, and then add those 2 together, and that's going to end up being $18.43. $18.43. And so take that expression we wrote, plug in 6 for games, and that should be your answer. Okay, so I'll be posting the questions that you have for this section, and you all go ahead and be working on those.